Welcome. Today's topics. Part 1, Highlights of Japanese Athletes. Part 2, Munetaka Murakami and Kazuma Okamoto's success paving the way for future samurai. Part 3, the dual-wielding charm of Shohei Ohtani. Part 1, Highlights of Japanese Athletes on May 9, 2026, Japan time. I will be discussing Shohei Ohtani, Kazuma Okamoto, and Munetaka Murakami later in this video. First, Masataka Yoshida of the Boston Red Sox appeared as the number 4 designated hitter in a game against the Rays at Fenway Park. The team won with a score of 2-0. Unfortunately, Yoshida ended the game with no hits. Recently, Yoshida has been getting more opportunities in the starting lineup. However, since he failed to capitalize on chances today, I felt that it might be difficult for him to secure a starting spot in the next game. Precisely because it was a critical moment, I really wanted to see him get a hit and drive in some runs. It is disappointing, but there is nothing we can do about it now. I can only hope that Yoshida's name will be in the starting lineup for the next game. Next, Seiya Suzuki of the Chicago Cubs played as the number 5 right fielder in a game against the Rangers at Globe Life Field. The team won with a score of 7-1. Seiya Suzuki was outstanding, finishing with 1 hit, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and 1 home run. In his second at-bat, he hit a spectacular 2-run home run, a powerful shot that is typical of him when he is in top form. He battled through 8 pitches, and after a full count, he connected with a high sinker for the home run, showcasing his brilliant technique. The pitcher, Kumar Rocker, tried to confuse him by mixing sinkers, cutters, and sliders, but Seiya Suzuki was not to be fooled and drove one out of the park. Rocker must have felt completely helpless against him. It was a superb piece of hitting by Seiya Suzuki. I look forward to seeing him lead the team's momentum in the next game as well. Part 2, Munetaka Murakami and Kazuma Okamoto's success paving the way for future samurai. Currently, Munetaka Murakami of the White Sox and Kazuma Okamoto of the Blue Jays are performing exceptionally well. Every time they have a game, their highlights are featured on X, and many Japanese fans are becoming very excited. Furthermore, the success of Munetaka Murakami and Kazuma Okamoto is not only for their own benefit, but it also impacts future Japanese players who will challenge themselves in MLB. By demonstrating their true abilities in MLB, it will make it easier for NPB players to make the jump to the major leagues in the future. However, if they are unable to succeed in MLB, the hurdles for NPB players to enter the major leagues will become higher once again, just as they were in the past. That is why the current success of Kazuma Okamoto and Munetaka Murakami is so crucial. It affects not only their own evaluations but also the expectations placed on NPB players when they move to MLB. Their daily performances are very important for the birth of future Japanese stars in the major leagues. In the games on May 9, Japan time, Kazuma Okamoto of the Blue Jays performed well with 1 hit, 1 RBI, and 1 walk. Munetaka Murakami of the White Sox hit his 15th home run of the season in his first at-bat, showing a strong presence with 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and 1 home run. The success of these two players has a wide-ranging positive impact, and all of Japan is watching them with great anticipation. The hitting we saw today from Kazuma Okamoto and Munetaka Murakami is the same kind of performance they displayed naturally in the NPB. For Japanese fans, it is a familiar and welcome sight. Kazuma Okamoto's clutch hitting when there are runners in scoring position is remarkable. Since his days with the Yomiuri Giants, he has been known as a powerful hitter who is very strong in high-pressure situations. As for Munetaka Murakami, his home run to the opposite field was magnificent. The strength and distance of his hits to the opposite field are so powerful that they remind us of the unicorn, Shohei Ohtani. These signature performances by both players surely energized fans in Japan and around the world. I continue to have high expectations for both of them. Part 3, the dual-wielding charm of Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers appeared as the #1 designated hitter in a game against the Braves at Dodger Stadium. The team won with a score of 3-1. Shohei Ohtani contributed with 1 hit and 1 RBI. Although he hit an RBI single in the 5th inning, his final at-bat in the 8th inning resulted in a routine out, suggesting his hitting is not yet back to its peak form. The weight was not staying firmly on his left pivot leg. When he made contact with the pitch, his weight was shifting too early to his right leg. I believe he understands this himself. With that kind of swing, the ball will not reach the right field stands. It feels as though he is still unable to do what he once could. However, his bat control against pitches is improving, so I expect we will see a home run from Shohei Ohtani in the coming games. Changing the subject, I would like to talk about the dual-wielding charm of Shohei Ohtani. Currently, there are countless fans of Shohei Ohtani all over the world. The expectations and hopes they have for him likely vary from person to person. Hitting over 50 home runs in a season while also dominating games on the mound by throwing 100 miles per hour fastballs. That is likely what many people perceive as the charm of Shohei Ohtani. In my case, the charm of Shohei Ohtani's dual wielding is, above all, his duality. The personality of Shohei Ohtani the hitter and Shohei Ohtani the pitcher are completely different. To get a bit more technical, there was a time in the past when I was very passionate about professional wrestling. I liked Japanese wrestling, but I also enjoyed American wrestling. In Japan, there was a wrestler named Keiji Muto who displayed brilliant and vivid wrestling. He was a traditional heroic wrestler, and fans of all genders were captivated by his style. He was a true hero. However, Keiji Muto had another persona. Muto also found success in the American wrestling world. He first appeared in the WCW in 1989 and became popular as a villainous wrestler. His ring name at that time was the Great Muta. Everything about him, from his appearance to his wrestling style, was the exact opposite of Keiji Muto. As Keiji Muto, he wrestled with his real face exposed in a traditional, heroic style, performing beautiful moves. On the other hand, the Great Muta had paint on his face and looked like a villain. Unlike Muto's style, the Great Muta would use weapons, break rules, and spit mist from his mouth into his opponent's face. He was a very rough wrestler, and I believe that roughhouse style was one of the reasons he was so popular with American fans. I was also deeply fascinated by the distinct personalities of Keiji Muto and the Great Muta. I loved the vivid, heroic wrestling of Keiji Muto, but I also liked the rough, villainous wrestling of the Great Muta. Getting back to the main topic. Shohei Ohtani also performs with a duality similar to Keiji Muto. Shohei Ohtani the hitter is very gentlemanly. He is so polite that he will pick up small pebbles in the batter's box and put them in his pocket. He also shouts to warn the first and third base coaches, and even the opposing team's dugout, whenever he hits a foul ball toward them. He displays a personality filled with kindness. On the other hand, Shohei Ohtani the pitcher is full of killing intent on the mound. He sometimes spits on the mound. The kind of roughness he would never show as a hitter is visible when he is pitching. I will shut these hitters down. That intense, aggressive spirit is clearly visible in his attitude, and that is another part of his charm. As I mentioned, on the mound, Shohei Ohtani acts with the villainous demeanor of the Great Muta, overpowering opposing hitters with his 100 miles per hour fastballs as his primary weapon. That is where I feel the true charm of Shohei Ohtani's dual wielding lies. As a hitter, he is a perfect gentleman and a role model for children. I have never seen another player who picks up stones in the batter's box and puts them in his pocket. By doing so, he ensures that neither he nor other players get injured. I have the utmost respect for Shohei Ohtani the hitter for taking such initiative. As a pitcher, unlike his gentlemanly behavior as a hitter, his roughness stands out. Because I know how gentlemanly he can be, I am all the more drawn to this side of him. Just as Keiji Muto and the Great Muta were like two different people, Shohei Ohtani is also a different person as a hitter and as a pitcher. I find great interest and charm in the fact that he shows us both sides. I think few people today know about the WCW around 1989, but the great Muta at that time was incredibly captivating. In Japan, he enchanted many fans by playing two distinct roles, the heroic wrestler Keiji Muto and the villainous wrestler the Great Muta. On the MLB stage, Shohei Ohtani displays the two faces or different personalities that Keiji Muto once performed, through his roles as a gentlemanly hitter and a rough pitcher. He reminds me of the Great Muta. It is very enjoyable to watch Shohei Ohtani as a gentlemanly hitter. On top of that, watching the rough pitcher Shohei Ohtani is even more exciting. This is the dual-wielding charm of Shohei Ohtani that I feel. That is all for today. Thank you very much.